He lost everything in a shipwreck, not all at once, slowly from the deck. Zeno watched his life's work sink beneath the water. Cargo he had traded for years to build, possessions that gave his life structure, friends he trusted, swallowed by chaos. In minutes, everything that told him who he was gone. No wealth, no future he could plan, no ground beneath his feet. But there was one thing he didn't lose. He didn't lose the part of himself that could still choose how to face what happened. He didn't lose hope. That man was Zeno of Citium, and what he discovered after losing everything became the foundation of Stoicism, because Zeno proved something most people never realize. You can lose control over your life without losing control over yourself. And that's what this video is about. This is the Stoic Masters series. This isn't a single story, it's a progression. Each episode takes you to the moment a Stoic master was pushed to the edge of what a human can endure: loss, poverty, mental collapse, power under pressure, not theory, not quotes. Real breaking points. By the end of this series, you won't just understand Stoicism. You'll know how to stand when things fall apart, how to endure when nothing gets easier, how to stay free when you can't escape, and how to carry responsibility without being crushed by it. This is training for a life that doesn't slow down. If you stay through the entire series, you won't come out inspired. You'll come out different, more grounded, with a thicker skin, harder to shake, clear about what actually matters. This is Stoic Masters, and once it starts, you don't want to stop halfway. From here, the story begins. The idea that trying to control life makes things worse isn't modern. It wasn't discovered in a book or tested in a lab. It was learned the hard way. Over 2,000 years ago, there was a man who built his entire identity around control, wealth, trade, plans for the future. And in a single moment, all of it was taken from him. No warning, no second chance. He wasn't born into power. He wasn't protected by status. He wasn't preparing to become a philosopher. He was a merchant. A man who believed, like most people do, that if you plan well enough and work hard enough, life will cooperate. Then the sea proved him wrong. What followed wasn't inspiration. It wasn't enlightenment. It was disorientation, and the question that would shape everything that came next was simple. What do you do when life stops listening to your plans? This video is not about Stoicism as an idea. It's about how Stoicism was forced into existence by a man who had to learn how to stand after control was gone. Zeno was born in Citium, a coastal city on the island of Cyprus. It wasn't a place of emperors or philosophers. It was a trading city. Ships, goods, markets, money moving in and out. Zeno grew up around commerce, not contemplation. His family wasn't poor, but they weren't powerful either. They lived in a world where value came from trade, reputation, and knowing how to navigate uncertainty with calculation. From a young age, Zeno learned a simple rule. If you understand the system well enough, you can control the outcome. Trade rewards preparation. Planning matters. Mistakes are expensive. This wasn't arrogance. It was realism. In that world, control wasn't an illusion. It was a skill. Zeno became a merchant because it made sense. It was predictable, measurable, rational. The sea followed rules, markets followed patterns, or so it seemed. At this point in his life, Zeno wasn't searching for meaning. He wasn't questioning existence. He wasn't looking inward. He was doing what most people do when life feels stable, building a future that assumes tomorrow will behave like today. And that assumption is exactly what life was about to challenge. The ship didn't sink because Zeno was careless. There was no mistake to learn from, no bad decision to correct. A storm came, and that distinction matters. Because storms don't respond to effort, they don't negotiate with planning, they don't reward preparation. In a single voyage, Zeno lost everything he had worked for. His cargo, his wealth, his future, and with it something far more dangerous was taken from him. Certainty. Up until that moment, Zeno's life made sense. There was a clear connection between effort and outcome. You plan, you work, you earn. The shipwreck shattered that equation. Suddenly the world felt unstable, not difficult, unreliable. This is the moment most people misunderstand. The pain wasn't just financial. It wasn't fear of survival. It was the collapse of a belief that if you do everything right, life will behave. After the wreck, Zeno was no longer a man with a future he could calculate. He was a man forced to stand without the structures that had supported him. No leverage, no advantage, no control. And this is where most people break, not because they lost something, but because the rules they trusted stopped working. Zeno didn't drown, but the version of him who believed life could be controlled through effort alone did. After the shipwreck, Zeno didn't suddenly become wise. There was no revelation, no quote, no moment of peace. There was confusion. He arrived in Athens with nothing but questions and a mind still trained for control. So he did what most intelligent people do when life stops making sense. He searched for answers. Zeno began listening to philosophers, cynics, Megarians, thinkers who claimed freedom, virtue, strength. But something didn't fit. Some rejected society entirely. Others turned logic into abstraction. Some glorified detachment without responsibility. Each offered a piece of the solution, but none addressed the real problem. Zeno faced, how do you live in a world where effort doesn't guarantee outcome without becoming bitter, passive, or numb? Zeno didn't want to escape life. He wanted to stand inside it without being shaken. This is the uncomfortable phase nobody talks about. The phase where old beliefs no longer work, new ones don't feel solid yet, and certainty is gone. It's tempting here to give up, to blame fate, to harden, to chase control in new forms. But Zeno stayed. He listened. He tested ideas against reality. He watched what actually helped people remain steady under pressure. Slowly, something became clear. The problem was never that life was chaotic. The problem was where control was being placed. And once Zeno saw that, everything began to reorganize. Not outwardly, inwardly. Zeno didn't discover a way to control life. He discovered something far more unsettling. That control was never where he thought it was. Up until the shipwreck, control meant managing outcomes, planning better, predicting risk, securing the future that model works, until it doesn't. What Zeno realized was this: you don't lose control when life becomes unpredictable. You lose control when you keep demanding certainty from a world that cannot give it. This is the Stoic shift. Control is not about events, it's about responses. Not what happens, but what you do with what happens. Zeno began training his attention inward. He separated life into two domains: what depends on you and what doesn't. Your judgments, your values, your choices in the present moment. These remain available even when everything else is taken. This is not passive acceptance. It's strategic withdrawal from a losing battle. Most people exhaust themselves trying to dominate the uncontrollable. Zeno chose a smaller battlefield, one he could actually hold. And in doing so, he became unshakable, not because life got easier, but because life lost its power to destabilize him. This is why Stoicism doesn't begin with virtue or morality. It begins with psychological survival, with the question, what part of me remains intact no matter what happens? Zeno's answer was simple and radical: your inner stance. When you stop trying to command the storm and focus on how you stand in it, you regain something deeper than control. You regain stability. What Zeno gained in stability, he paid for in other ways. This kind of control isn't free. When you stop chasing certainty, you also give up illusions that once felt comforting. Zeno gave up the belief that life owed him fairness. He gave up the idea that effort guarantees reward. He gave up the comfort of blaming fate or gods or circumstances. Because once you accept that control lives inside you, there's no one left to hold responsible for how you respond. That's the hidden cost. Stoic control removes excuses. It doesn't numb you. It doesn't protect you from pain. It demands presence. Zeno lived simply. He dressed plainly. He rejected excess, not because it was evil, but because dependence creates vulnerability. The less you need life to behave a certain way, the harder you are to break. But this path comes with isolation. People misunderstand it. They mistake calm for indifference, restraint for coldness, self-mastery for detachment. Zeno wasn't admired by everyone. He wasn't celebrated in his lifetime the way later Stoics would be. He chose steadiness over approval, and that trade-off is one most people are unwilling to make, because mastery means you no longer get to say, "I couldn't help it." You always can, and that truth is heavier than any storm. You don't live in ancient Greece. You don't trade goods by ship. You don't fear storms at sea. But the loss Zeno faced shows up in your life all the time. Careers collapse overnight. Relationships change without warning. Plans you trusted stop working. And when that happens, the instinct is always the same. Try harder to control. Control conversations. Control outcomes. Control people. Control the future. You replay situations in your head. You overthink. You tighten your grip. And just like Zeno learned, that only increases the damage, because modern life multiplies the illusion of control. You're told if you optimize enough, you'll be safe if you plan well enough. Nothing will break if you stay informed. You'll stay ahead. But the anxiety you feel isn't a personal failure. It's the result of aiming control at things that were never yours to command. Zeno's insight matters now because the world hasn't become more stable. It's become faster, more complex, more reactive, less predictable. And yet, the same question remains: where does your stability come from when external order disappears? If your calm depends on outcomes, you'll never have enough. If your sense of self depends on success, it will always feel fragile. Zeno's answer cuts through all of it. Stability is not something you extract from life, it's something you cultivate internally. That's why Stoicism doesn't collapse under pressure. It was built for it. Zeno didn't become steady because life became predictable again. It never did. He became steady because he stopped asking life to give him stability. That's the shift. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about being unmoved by what you can't command. When you train this way of seeing, something subtle happens. You stop panicking when plans break. You stop collapsing when control slips. You stop mistaking chaos for failure. You begin to stand differently, not rigid, not defensive, grounded. The Stoics didn't wake up calm. They trained calm the way others train strength. They expected disruption. They rehearsed loss. They practiced restraint when things were easy, so they wouldn't be overwhelmed when things weren't. This is why Stoicism doesn't promise happiness. It promises readiness, the kind of readiness that says, I don't need life to cooperate for me to remain intact. When you adopt that stance, you don't dominate life. You stop being dominated by it. And that's the quiet power Zeno discovered after everything he relied on was taken away. Not control over the world, control over how you meet it. Zeno taught us something most people never learn. Not how to win, not how to control life, but how to remain standing when control is no longer an option. This wasn't theory, it was survival. And it became the foundation of everything Stoicism would grow into. Zeno showed us how to stand when life takes everything away. But loss isn't the only thing that breaks people. Sometimes life doesn't collapse all at once. Sometimes it wears you down slowly, day after day, work after work. Pain without relief. The next Stoic master didn't lose everything in a single moment. He carried everything. Poverty, exhaustion, ridicule. While others slept, he worked. While others complained, he endured. His name was Cleanthes, and his mastery wasn't control. It was endurance. If you think staying steady after loss is hard, wait until you see what it takes to keep going when nothing gets easier. The next training begins there. Watch Stoic Masters Episode 2, Cleanthes.